Welcome again to the S.E.M podcast. I'm your solo host today, Zach Hewlett. Today we're joined by our friend Emily Garnham, as you knew her in the mission, now Emily Guy. Emily, it's so good to have you. What part of the world are you calling from tonight?
So I live in Northumberland, so very bottom of Scotland, well, not Scotland, but below Scotland. I live in the bottom of Kielder Forest. I'm in a small little village, and it's very nice.
Very cool. Love it. Well, I appreciate you making time to come on the podcast today. I know you said you've been putting it off, but it was really nice to reconnect with you as we were both in Scotland at similar times in the summer, right?
Yep. Yeah. So when you posted to say that you'd been on the Isle of Skye, I was like, that name. Oh, that place. We went past there the day before, and we went for half an hour. So
I know
gorgeous part of Scotland. So,
It was a kind of a small world moment for me. I was like, she's really close by. She's not far away at all, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad that we could finally reconnect and get you here on the podcast. To start off, tell us your experience of receiving your call and your reaction of getting called to Scotland.
Okay, so I guess it starts quite early on for me. My patriarchal blessing mentions going on a mission. So I received that when I was 16. And I wasn't ready to hear that I should go on a mission. My brothers had all gone missions, and I was like, yeah, I'll go on a mission. And then I think, no, I don't want to go on a mission. Yeah, I want to go on a mission. No, I don't. So it's kind of one of those yes, no, yes, no. And at 16, I was like, no, I don't want to go on a mission. And it was quite specific. It wasn't maybe when I'm older. It was very specific. So year or 2, 3 years, I was like, and I found a peace with it. And I thought, well, at least if I live my life that I could go on a mission, but something happens, then it's not a big deal. I was dating someone before I went on a mission, so kind of for about 18 months or so, quite seriously. And again, it was marriage mission, and I prayed about it and mission. And I thought, well, let's go on a mission, and then we'll carry on, and at least one of us have gone on a mission, and it'll be good for the family. But it didn't work out. The relationship didn't work out. So put in my papers, and was excited to receive Scotland. But so 3 of my brothers all served missions in the UK, so all in England. So I thought I'll probably stay in the UK. I wasn't a surprise. I thought I'd be in the UK. I was just hoping that it would be Scotland or Ireland, so I could say to them I've left the country.
Right.
And I was working as a nanny, kind of mother's help, before my mission, in a kind of remote part. It's kind of on the beach, but there's only one street there. Quite posh, really nice, but remote and a bit wild. And I was just thinking when I was driving there, I wonder if this is preparing me for my mission, because it was cold and windy and rainy. And so when I received my call, I was really excited. Scotland was, I'd never been to Scotland. I live in England, but I'd never been to Scotland. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And you grew up where? Remind me.
I grew up in Ipswich. So Sister Roberts described the UK to me as an old lady sitting on a pig or riding a pig. And she said that I lived in the pig's butt of England. So Ipswich, Suffolk. It's on the kind of east, the roundy bit of the UK.
That's a good description. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't not see that now. And she's right.
I can't either. I'm looking at the map and I'm like, I can see exactly what she's talking about. That's hilarious.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So timeline wise, when did you enter the MTC?
So I went to the MTC, I think beginning of March 2006,
right? Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So you went March of 2006. That would have had you home when, like September time? Is that about right?
Yeah. I think we finished middle of September. My parents came to collect me. So we stayed on for a week or two, and I got back, I guess, end of September, beginning of October.
Okay.
Yeah.
So take us back to September of 2007. What have you been up to in your life since then?
So I had a part-time job kind of ready for me. So the place that I was talking about before, who I was working for, they'd set me up with another family to work for part-time, which was great. And I worked for them for a bit, did some childcare, worked in a nursery, hated it, absolutely hated it. Loved the family, hated the private nursery.
Yeah.
And then I got a job with a member actually. He was on our state presidency. He's a head teacher, and I said, "Oh, I'm really, really hating work, like stressed with work. Have you got
Mhm.
any? Do you know of any jobs coming up?" He's like, "Actually, yes." And he had a job coming up that I went for and I got. So I managed to get into a school, which was just amazing. I loved it. It's great. Um,
Nice.
so I'm trying to think. I mean, I did the nursery one for quite a while. I think I started working for him. Two, I want to say 2009, which it could have been 2009. I can't remember.
Mhm.
Um, Kind of put along, YSA, just life, time with family. And then I met my now husband, kind of beginning-ish of 2009. Started dating in the summer and got married in 2010.
Very good. And in that time frame, you moved to Northumberland, or have you been all over England since then?
Yeah. So we moved around a little bit. So when we got married, he was going to start university. So got married, had a honeymoon, went straight to Stoke-on-Trent in the Midlands.
Mhm.
We're planning to be there for the duration of university, but found ourselves there for 12 years.
Wow.
We had a house. It just worked out. I mean, I don't know, those from England, you don't go to Stoke-on-Trent for, I don't know why you'd go to Stoke-on-Trent, to be honest. Our friends there were lovely, but it's I don't know how to describe it. But you either really, really want to leave or you kind of stay. So
Hmm.
we ended up staying. It was a blessing. But yeah, 12 years it was nice to move 12 years, and where we are is completely different to Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah.
So although I say I'm from Ipswich, I'm kind of from outside of Ipswich. I'm kind of from the country, rural, big village, but yeah, not the hustle and bustle. That's not me.
Yeah.
So Northumberland is amazing. It's just ticks all the boxes for what we wanted as a family. So I've got two children, a
Okay.
12-year-old girl and a 8-year-old boy.
Oh,
We've
nice.
got chickens in the garden. It's lovely, really nice.
Very fun. And anything unique brought you to Northumberland other than just getting out of the city?
Work for my husband. So
Work.
he is a conservationist. So although we live in Stoke-on-Trent, he was working in the Peak Districts for a bit, and then he got a job in Stoke, still doing conservation. But yeah, it wasn't. He's not that sort of thing either. It's not his sort of place. He yeah, he likes the country. He likes it quiet. So it both suited us really well. So we were actually looking at Scotland. Scotland was kind of our aim
Really?
during
Okay.
COVID. Yeah, so we'd always said when we finished university, when we finished at Stoke, we'd either go back home to East Anglia or Scotland. Um, Now East Anglia is a lot more expensive than Scotland, um, and where we were in Stoke-on-Trent, really, really cheap. Um, so yeah, during COVID, well, just I keep feeling this pull to go to Scotland. And I said the pull's stronger for Scotland than it is East Anglia. So we were just looking. We were looking at houses on Rightmove. Found a really, really nice house. Where was it? Um, on the west coast, but kind of on a peninsula. I can't remember whereabouts it was.
Okay.
Um, but it was great. It was cheap. It had tartan carpets. It had a sewing room for me. It had a stream in the garden for him. Polytunnels. It's great. Um,
Yeah.
but obviously he didn't have any work for there. He needed to have a job that would work. Um,
Sure.
and so we just kept looking on Rightmove, and he was looking for jobs. And nothing came of it. And then before we moved here, before we got a job here, he was looking at a job. He had a few jobs in Scotland to come up, interviews, but he always got picked to the post. One of them was in Shetland. So the
Oh my
last one,
goodness.
the one before he got this interview. And I said I could do it for a period of time. I could do it for 2 years, 5 years max. I couldn't, not
Oh,
permanently.
oh my gosh.
And again, someone just tipped him to the post because they were already on the island. So yeah, we were nearly there, but we don't feel like we're missing out either. We're so close now that, you know, we could just make a day trip if we really want to. So
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
great.
And we'll probably get to this,
Yeah.
but did you serve in Shetland at all? Is that why that was
Yeah, I
something you
did.
were willing
I
to
did.
do? Okay, my gosh. 'Cause
Yeah. So yeah. Another job that was coming up after the one that he got. It was on Outer Hebrides, which amazing, like beautiful, gorgeous. But I was like, no, because
right.
I feel a bit claustrophobic thinking about it. With Shetland, I know it. You know, I love it. But yeah, it just depends on it. I think familiarity is for me. It works. It helps me
Yeah,
feel settled.
I can understand that. I
Yeah.
mean, I was in the Orkney Isles for 4 weeks in my mission. I don't know that I could
Yeah.
make a life there. That would be very
Yeah.
challenging for me because I'm a little bit more of a city
Yeah.
boy, and, but
Right.
for
Yeah.
you, I mean, it might have make it a little bit more sense, but, anyway, we'll get past that. Um, so tell us a little bit more, about your experience. You started the MTC March of 2005, and then go through areas, companions, and any of your experiences that
Okay.
you had.
Yeah. Brilliant. So yeah, started the MC. My brother and my dad brought me up. I found it hard to get there. I found it really, really emotionally hard to leave family. But as soon as I stepped through the MCC threshold, like I knew I was in the right place. Immediately I knew it. Took a while for the tears to stop, but it was good. It was nice to make new friends. So there were there's 4 sisters, including myself, who were there. And it was really nice to know we were all British. We were all sorry, Mr. Jagger, American. The 3 of us were British.
Okay.
So it was lovely. It was nice. So Sister Jagger was my MTC companion. A Sister Hogg, and there was Sister McFarlane, and then there was lots of elders. It was nice. I loved President Winwood, our MTC president. It was just fantastic. Really lovely man. I remember, I think one of the MTC presidency was like, "Oh, why have you come on a mission?" And I was like, "Well, because I love the Lord and I want to serve." And he's like, "That will change." And I was like, "All right." And I didn't really believe him. And to some extent, it hasn't changed. But obviously, there's a lot more depth to it then. At the end of my mission, a lot more depth. But yeah, I love the MTC. Food was good. Don't really know what else to say. I think it was hard. I was tired. I was really tired at the end of it. It's quite intense, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, it's an adjustment just being that studious, but doing it for that duration of time during the day. Oh, it was really, really challenging.
Yeah, yeah. So no, it was good. Yeah, made friends with the sisters easily. They were just lovely. And it was just nice to know that we were all going together. I don't know what I was expecting in terms of numbers and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Some groups are huge, some groups are not. I mean, I don't know. I think there's maybe a medium-sized group. I can't remember how many elders there were,
Mhm.
but there's a good amount of us. And then we arrived by train in the dark to Edinburgh. So we didn't really see anything on the train because it'd been snowing at the MTC. And yeah, it was. I don't know what I expected when I first arrived. I was a bit worried because like I said, I'm not a city person. Edinburgh scared me a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was excited to go up Pratt's Hill, as they described it, but we didn't get to go. We were in the group that they wouldn't let us go. But that was still
Too
nice as
bad.
well. We went some random place on a hill, but we dedicated the mission, and I remember kind of opening my eyes, and it was just snowy everywhere, and like it was still snowing, and it was beautiful. So I couldn't complain too much. It was it was lovely.
Yeah.
So I remember when they did the trainer, kind of introducing your trainer and the area in the big circle upstairs, and I knew that they'd opened up Shetland, and I'd had some friends that had served there, and they'd told me lots about it. I don't think I appreciated it when they were telling me about it. It wasn't my sort of place. I hadn't, I didn't. It wasn't my experience. It was their experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I was excited that it was opening up, because I also knew that it was quiet. I knew that it was, small.
Right.
And so yeah, they announced, I'm like, oh, you'll be with Sister Cooper. So it was nice to get to know her, and then you'll be going to Shetland. I jumped. I was excited. I was really, really excited. So I think there was a few giggles, but I was really excited. Our car wasn't ready, so we couldn't go on straight away. So we were in Edinburgh for a few days, and that scared me. I really kind of struggled with that. It was just we'd go chapping with Sister Roberts, and I was terrified. Like, yeah, just terrified. I didn't know where I was. It was just big. I felt lost. But yeah, we managed to get up to Aberdeen, and we had the night ferry, overnight ferry, 12 to 14 hours, depending on if it stops at Orkney. You would have been on it, wouldn't you?
Oh my gosh, that was one of the worst experiences of my life. I don't know how many times you did that, but did you guys have a cabin that you stayed in?
Quite a few. Yeah, so on the way up we did, which was lovely. It was really, really good. At one point, Sister Cooper went to open the main door off the ship, and they're like, no, 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 and we're like, oh. So and when it was choppy, it felt like, I mean, I've never been drunk, but it did feel like I was drunk, having to hold onto the rail, and but having a cabin was nice. I've been on it with not a cabin, and that was not nice.
Amen to that. It's so terrible.
Yeah. Were you in a chair, like in one of those like train chairs, I called them?
Yeah, I mean, my recollection of it is so foggy that I don't remember very well, but I think it was like the cinema room, and then I don't know if they had headphones for people to like listen to the film or not. And I was just sat in one of those chairs, and this was the North Sea in December, and it was just up and down and up and down. And I'm like, I don't want to think about where I am right now in conjunction to where the land is. Let's just get there, and then I'll find some peace. It was very challenging, and that was luckily only the one time that I rode the ferry, so I got very fortunate.
Yeah, I think so. I'd been on it a few times, coming backwards and forwards. It was fine when it went up and down. When it went side to side, I found that hard. Like in your bed, you're kind of rolling, and if you're up and down, at least you've got the head. Your feet can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
terrible.
When it was rough. It was but it was great. It was fun. It was a good experience. When we arrived in the morning, we were greeted early in the morning. We get there like 7:30 in the morning, and there's a member waiting to take us back to their house to have breakfast with them, which is just amazing. So one of my first recollections of Shetland is just this amazing, that warm family ready to greet us and feed us, and they were just, my whole time there, they were just fantastic. So Edna Williamson and Robert Williamson, just amazing awesome family.
I love it.
Yeah, love that. Whilst I was with Sister Cooper, she was amazing. She knew her stuff. She loved the Lord. It was fun. And I probably was not the best greenie for her. I was not a great greenie. I don't know if it took me a while to settle into being a missionary. Before my mission, I was quite a confident, outgoing person with my friends, with family. I was quite confident in myself. But it took me a while to adjust to being Sister Garnham and not Emily. And one lesson. I'm really sorry, Amy. I'm so sorry. I remember we were in a lesson, and I just I just didn't know what to say, and so the whole lesson I just kept quiet. Like I didn't say a word. She'd be looking at me, it's your turn, and I'm like just staring back at her, and I did nothing. And I'm so embarrassed, but I just froze. The only time that I did that, luckily. And I did become a better missionary, but yeah, bless her. So patient, so patient.
Yeah. That's always
Um,
a challenge as a new missionary, right? Is you don't know what you don't know
yeah,
until you're thrown into it. And the
yeah,
MTC, they try to
yeah.
prepare you with that, but it's not the same.
No, no, it's not the same. I mean, even towards the end of my mission, just when you have a missionary, companionship time and you're role playing. I've never liked role playing. It's never my thing. Like
No.
just, I
So
see
hard.
why we do it. I do see why we do it, but it's not. It wasn't me at all. Um, but yeah, bless her. Sorry, Amy. So patient. I mean, we didn't have an awful lot of people to teach, to be fair, as well. It was a lot of member work. It was very different work,
Yeah.
um, which was fine because I grew up until I was about 16, certainly in my kind of youth, in a small branch anyway. So, I was used to small branches and, just it's different to a ward, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I quite liked that. That again was familiar to me. That was something that I enjoyed. Um, the members were amazing. They were just so warm. I guess they just liked seeing different faces. I think there was like 22 that came out on a Sunday, I think. So,
Pretty good.
new faces is probably a good thing. Um, um, yeah, it was member work. It was, we did have one or two people that we taught, but did a lot of traveling, um, lots of sites, not sightseeing, but just traveling around the island. Um, so we travelled down for the Tri-Mission conference.
Hmm.
Do you remember that at the Preston Temple?
Yeah, I do.
So I was expecting to come down on the ferry as we'd gone up on the ferry, but they booked us a plane. I'd never been
Oh,
on a plane before, so I was
really?
quite excited, like probably like a little kid, excited. And so we were like a little 30-seater plane, which was great. It was lovely. And we flew back again. And we got there before the airport had opened in the morning, and so we're just going to fly around the island and which was
Wow.
amazing. So seeing Shetland kind of cliffs and water, and yeah, that was interesting.
That's
Um,
cool.
so I think what I struggled with as well. I mean, I've not ever had the experience prior to that, but like I knew that they had um, what's it called? Not zone conferences, but district meetings.
That's
Obviously,
right.
we didn't have that on Shetland. We had a district leader, which was Alda Barber, but we never went to any meetings. We just so I found, I'd be working through all of my memorization, do it on the phone, but never any meetings apart from we came down for that, and then we do, I don't know if we did a zone conference. I think we must have done zone conference. We'd come again on the
Yeah.
ferry, but that was the only time really. So again, I'd be quiet at those sorts of things. I didn't know anyone. There's no sisters up in that area other than my companion, so it was just, head down, just yeah, get on with it.
That's pretty funny.
So yeah, I was very shy, very very shy at the beginning. I remember, I think it was out of Barber. It could have been a different district leader at that point, but I remember we went to a member's home who was struggling. Sister Cooper got on really really well with her, and she was helping her. But I remember it was late, and really late, and I was like, we need to go. Like, yeah, it's a greenie. I'm like, we need to go. Yeah, no, we need to go now. And like it's getting later and later. And I think we got back to our flat at like 10:30, 11 o'clock, something like it was late. And so we had a mobile, but we also had, because we were on the island, we had a landline. And so there were
Okay.
a lot of messages on our mobile, voice messages, and on our answer machine. Where are you, sisters? Where are you? And like, I'm calling, right, that's it, I'm calling the zone leaders. And I was just like, oh no, I was really cross, I think. Because I didn't really know what to do as a greenie. I was like, oh. And then we called them, and he's like, oh, I'm so worried. I was so worried. I was about to call the mission president. And yeah, it was funny.
Oh
Just,
man.
yeah.
That would have been quite an
But we
experience to
didn't.
come back to all those messages.
Yeah,
My goodness.
yeah. No, what they weren't very happy. But yeah, it was one off, and the member needed it. It's, she needed someone to talk to. And yeah, it was good. I think that's a hard thing. I think as a greenie, you kind of have to know when to live by the rules, and when you need to kind of help and serve,
Yeah.
and what that means, kind of just those boundary changes and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
It is a challenge too, because you glean upon your trainer so often that it puts you in
yeah,
a position where you kind of feel like, can I speak up in this instance to make sure that we're
yeah,
doing what we're
yeah,
supposed to be doing? So that's challenging for sure.
yeah, yeah. But and yeah, like I said, I wasn't a great greenie. I wasn't a great greenie to her, and wasn't anything that she did. It was just me getting used to mission life, finding my feet, And I think at one point I just thought, no, I need to be Sister Emily Garnham. Bring yourself into it, and yeah. And I think so. Sister Roberts was my next companion. She came onto the island, and she's what I needed just to feel confident. She can make anyone feel amazing, and just she's a great laugh. And yeah, she was what I needed as a next follow on companion. She was great. Gone really really well. Um, yeah, loved her. Just she made me laugh. She made me cry. But she also made me laugh. So yeah, I've a strong friendship with her. I just adore her. And she knows it. So yeah, haven't even got any funny stories about just I don't know.
Was
It,
it
it
was
was
it
one of those. It was 6 weeks.
I was gonna say, was it unique going from an American trainer to someone from England?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that maybe that was part of it. Maybe it's just culture difference. Obviously American, you'd have different things you'd say that we wouldn't say, and things that we'd say that you wouldn't say, and like
Right.
yeah, I think maybe it's just a culture thing. I don't know. And But yeah, it was good. So Sister Cooper left in the afternoon, and I stayed with some members. So I wasn't going to go off with her, and Sister Roberts wasn't going to come the next morning either. There was like a delay of like a day and 2 nights in a day or something like that.
My gosh.
So I found that quite unique. So I dropped her off at the ferry terminal, drove to the members' home, slept at theirs, but then they were working during the day. So then I had to drive myself to another member's home, spend the day with them, drive back. Yeah, it was weird. It was so weird. But do you know what? I really like that. I think that maybe that's what helped. I just needed a bit of time to myself, and was ready then for Sister Roberts to come on. I don't know. Maybe it was that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
the one and only
respite.
time that I was going to get. Yeah, maybe it was that. There was a member in the ward who, I think anyone that serves on Shetland I think his name's Bob. He gives everyone nicknames. Um,
Okay.
he's an individual. He's a character, but he's lovely. He serves really well. He's a bit gruff, and we'd come home. I picked her up. We had pancakes again at the Williamsons. Got home, and there was a message on the answer phone. And so my nickname was Capricorn, just because he couldn't think of anything else. And he's like, Capricorn, Capricorn. And like just really, really gruff. And Sister Robert's like, who on earth is that? And I was like, oh, you'll meet him on Sunday. And it was just one of those people. And so I think her nickname was Violence, which I think
Violence?
was Violence. Yeah, Violence.
That's
Which
so
I think
good.
that's her to a T.
Oh
So
my word.
yeah, really, really good. He's just lovely. So it'd be nice to know all the people that served in Shetland, kind of what all their nicknames were, if they were given nicknames. But
Nicknames.
yeah,
That's pretty funny.
yeah, it was great.
I'll have to bring that up from now on with people that have served in Shetland to ask
Yeah,
them
yeah,
if
yeah,
that was
yeah,
something that they received as well. That's pretty good.
yeah. No, he was great. And so the Fredericks arrived while I was on Shetland. So the Greens left and the Fredericks arrived. And everyone got to meet them, and we didn't get to meet them.
Oh no.
Which I found hard. I think she didn't. So obviously Sister Roberts, Sister Kenny, they were going home, and so I know they were like, oh, we got a new mission president sending us home. It's not the same. For me, it was kind of the other way around. I knew I wasn't going to have the Marines for long, and obviously I didn't see them very often. I think I saw them like twice.
Yeah.
And so I was really excited to, because I knew that the Fredericks are going to kind of be my mission president and my wife. But yeah, everyone had seen them, and oh yeah, we went out, we came, and so I remember sending. I think we'd gone to the shops. We bought a card for both of them, like a card each, just to introduce ourselves. I thought, well, at least then we get to say hello. And we sent a picture of, I think, a beaten down shed with a boat outside to President Frederick and said, this is our transport and this is our house. And then I think like an animal, a sheep or something, and drew lipstick on it and said that to Sister Frederick. Just said hello.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, just just a bit of fun. Yeah.
That's a very Sister Roberts type of thing to do, though. I
Yeah,
can
no,
see
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah. She was a laugh, like just always a laugh. She could put you down, but you never felt like you knew that she was putting you down, but it'd always be a laugh. There'd always be there'd always be humor to it. And yeah, and I really liked that. I thrived with that. It was great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
She was great.
in time frame wise, you were on Shetland for how long?
So 3 transfers,
Okay.
2 with Sister Cooper, and then 1 with Sister Roberts.
Okay. So what happened after that? Did you stay on the island after Sister Roberts went home?
No, so she had another 6 weeks to go, so she stayed and I left. And to be fair, I think at that point I was ready to get off the island. There wasn't much else to do, and I felt she'd given me my confidence, so I knew when the call came that I was going to Edinburgh. It wasn't a shock. I was ready to go to Edinburgh,
Right.
and I probably was a little bit scared, but I was excited to go to Edinburgh. And I went with Sister Jagger, so that was exciting as well. I already knew Sister Jagger.
Yeah.
I felt still like a really young missionary, but yeah, I was excited to be in. I think I was excited to see people. I think. And just I'm really excited to see people.
Yeah.
So and it was lovely. So I got to meet the Fredericks, and it was an eye opener being in a ward with lots of missionaries, having gone from a tiny little branch with just the 2 of us to a strong ward with I think there was like 6 to 7 sets while I was there with missionaries, not including the mission president and the office couple and any of the family history missionaries.
That's true.
There was a lot. It was very different, and I was able to kind of feel confident in chatting and feel confident in talking to people on the street. And yeah, it stretched me, but it helped me kind of get those, feel confident in doing missionary work.
Yeah.
I think what I really liked was the members were really supportive in the ward. We had, missionary correlation, and there were lots of people there to support. It was a really, we knew who we could call to help. We knew who who would be good for our lessons, and yeah, it was good. And why I say we're strong and proactive with missionary work. Got to know quite a lot of people, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was great.
So what area of Edinburgh were you assigned?
So we're Morningside.
Morningside. That's what I was thinking. I just didn't want to presume.
Yeah. So it's all Edinburgh is nice, isn't it? Majority of it. But yeah, Morningside's a really nice area. Really nice. So what I really liked about serving in Edinburgh was we would do a lot of our street contacting in Princes Street. So right by the castle. And we'd all be like, the missionaries would be there at different times, and it was really nice because we were like, oh, we've got a referral for you. Here's a referral for you. We always kind of shared our kind of contacts. It never felt like, no, that's mine. I need to have that. Whereas I've been in other wards, later in my mission, that it wasn't like that. It was kind of a bit touchy and personal. So I really enjoyed, here you go, here's someone for you to teach. And again, we'd be like, here's someone for you to teach because they're not in our area. Sometimes there'd be an exception to that, but that was really nice. So we had our area to go and chap in, but then we'd all go, down there, and there'd always be someone to talk to.
Oh yeah, it's a busy street.
Yeah, yes. So again, very, very different from what I had just experienced, but I was definitely ready at that point. So I'm glad that I did Shetland first, ease me in, and then, because I just probably would have, the whole time that I was in Edinburgh, I probably wouldn't have said anything to anyone and just yeah, clammed up the whole time. So yeah.
I don't believe that. I have a hard time believing that for sure.
Yeah, we'll see. But no, yeah, Edinburgh's great. With Sister Jagger, I can't remember how many moves, like 2 moves, 3, I think maybe 3 moves, I can't remember. Just she was a lot of fun. She's great fun. We had lots of photos to kind of prove the fun that we had, and just um, I think we're just similar in some ways, that quite laid back, easygoing, don't take things too seriously. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed serving with Sister Jagger. I think serving in the MTC helped, had a bit of connection there. It really helped. I think, thinking, are we really allowed to serve together? We've not been out that long. It was great. It was, it's nice. It's just a confidence boost. So yeah.
That poses a question
so
in my mind. Do you remember how many sisters were in the mission at that point in time? Like right after Sister Kenny, Sister Roberts were home?
Yeah, so there's 4 of us in the MTC that went to Scotland.
Right.
And there was only 5 sisters serving in the mission just before we arrived. So we almost doubled the sisters, which I can't even imagine serving with there just being 5 sisters. I can't imagine. So then when Sister Kenny and Sister Roberts went home, I think after that we kind of had a steady one in every moves.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know how many, but like 10, 15, I don't know. It doesn't sound a lot, does it? And it's not a lot when you think how many elders there are. It's
No, but you're right. I'm looking at my trusty list of MTC. You had Sister Kemp that came in, Sister Georgieva who came in, Sister Stoker,
Sister Wellington.
Sister Wellington. Yeah, I mean you're right. It kind of was
it was steady after that.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It was steady. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it was just really nice to serve with her, and to get to know the members, and the people we were working with. That's where I got to meet Elder McBride, and I don't think we hit it off particularly well to begin with. He thought I was just, a country bumpkin, uneducated. I didn't really care much for him. I thought he was just a bit snooty. But you know what? He was one of my favourite elders. Just one of my favourite missionaries, without a doubt. So I said he was in Edinburgh most of the time I was there, and just brilliant, just so brilliant.
That's so good.
Just I miss him. He was fantastic. He got on really well with Sister Jagger before that, but he was just brilliant.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Marcus is a great missionary. We loved having him in the mission.
Yeah, he was super. I've put a few names down just because I needed to kind of be prompted. So every week we'd go and have a meal with Thompsons. I think it'd be us and the office elders. We'd do some service first, in the garden or in the house, and then we'd have a meal with him and his wife Rose, who he cared for. And I loved him. He was just a really lovely member, lovely individual. Just really nice conversations with him. He knew a few people that I knew from back home, and just he always had something to share that was worth listening to, and just a kind-hearted man. It was really, really nice.
That's good.
Patty, I know a lot of members have talked about Patty and Will, who often had people come over for a family home evening, and just they always invited the missionaries into their home, and their friends to come. Just a lovely couple. Shelley, one of the YSA, and Gordon, YSA, just fantastic support to missionaries this award. So I never really, I never did the university thing. I didn't, have YSA. I had friends in my ward. We go and do things quite a lot, but I never lived that kind of social life before my mission. Edinburgh was kind of it's easy to get carried away in Edinburgh with lots that's going on. And yeah, just although I'd gone, from Shetland, this quiet place, to Edinburgh, and I, learned to be a missionary, it was really easy to get carried away. So Edinburgh was a really good place for me to ground myself towards the end, to learn repentance, like true meaning of repentance, to talk to President Frederick. And I'm really grateful for that, because that helped me again when I moved on and shared that with other people. When I'm teaching about repentance, I know what I'm talking about now. I understand kind of a bit more about it, about humbling ourselves and rededicating ourselves, and so I think Edinburgh for me holds lots of fun memories and happy memories, and also some memories that changed me and made me better.
Wow.
So I love going to Edinburgh. It's my favourite city. I don't say that about any city. I don't really want to go to many cities, but Edinburgh every time. It holds lots of good memories for me. And it's people. It's the people that are there.
That's awesome. And I'm sure it's nice for you that you're not a far drive away from just popping up and being in Edinburgh. Fairly easy being in the north of England. Right.
Yeah. I've not been this year. But when we first moved up, I think I was there 2 or 3 times within the year. So yeah, I need to get back up.
It's great.
Because even the smell, I love the smell of Edinburgh. My husband laughs at me. I'm like, it's just the breweries, isn't it? It smells of the breweries.
Oh yeah.
But for me, it smells like bacon sandwiches, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love the smell of Edinburgh.
That's amazing. You're right though. Like,
it's great.
Even on my recent visit, I drove through a patch and I was like, "Yep, I'm in Edinburgh." You catch it. It's so wonderful. I loved it.
Yeah, coming up the steps or down the steps, I'm like, that is the smell of Edinburgh, and it's great. It's really, really good.
Oh, that's fun. So, how long were you with Sister Jagger?
I can't remember. Either 2 or 3 moves.
Okay.
So at that time, Sister Stoker was in the mission home. She hadn't been very well. So I think she was serving in Perth. So she was in there, and mission. Sister Frederick said, "Oh, come and see how she is. See if she'll come." And so we got to know her. She came out with us a few times. I got on really, really well. And then next moves, she was my companion in Edinburgh. Sister Jagger moved on. I love Sister Stoker. She's just one of the nicest people I've met. She hasn't got anything bad to say about anybody. She is just so kind-hearted, and will always praise people. She might put herself down, but she always praise people, and she's just just amazing. We don't stay in contact very much, but she helped me grow a lot. And I loved serving with Sister Stoker. She was great fun. Then I served with Sister Wellington as well. She came and joined us for my last 6 weeks. So again, Sister Stoker, I don't know if I was with her for 2 moves. I can't remember. I was in Edinburgh for either 6 months or 7.5. I can't remember the dates and stuff. But a good chunk of my mission was Edinburgh. Sister Wellington was great. I don't think I was the best companion to her. I think she comes across as very confident, and I don't think I realised just how untrue that was for her. And so I never really praised her. When obviously we should be praising everyone, and because I just thought she knew that she was such a good missionary, and like she taught really well, because I thought she knew that. And I don't think she did. And I was a bit blind to see that. But she was amazing, just an amazing person, brilliant person to talk to, great with all the members, great with all of the friends. she was just fantastic, really, really good. And I don't think I appreciated it at the time. So again, Anne, I'm really sorry. But I'm glad that I served with you. Really glad. When I was in Edinburgh, we taught a few people. One was a man called Saeed, who I met. I think we were going to the bus, and I just stopped him, chatted to him, and we taught him. And he was baptized. I know that sounds like really easy, but he was one of those people that was just really easy to teach. It wasn't anything that I did. It wasn't anything special that we did. It was just that we were really lucky to teach him, and it was amazing. I felt very privileged to be part of his journey into the church and into the gospel, because he was incredibly humble from the very beginning. And yeah, he was just a star. So any of the missionaries that served around Edinburgh at that time will remember Saeed. But yeah, a joy to
That's
teach
awesome.
and a privilege.
Very cool.
Yeah. There was a girl called Mary. I think Sister Jag has mentioned Mary before. Who Sister Jagger has been teaching her, and so spent a lot of time with her. She was kind of there the whole time I was in Edinburgh. She was great. Just we taught her to come out with us. She was just really, really lovely girl. And then there was a man we taught. I can't remember his name, but he eventually got baptized after I left the area. But I remember going to a bit of a dodgy part of our area, and there's like a bullet hole in the doorway of these flats. But at this point I felt confident. I felt, I was at ease on my mission. And so you were like, we'll be fine. We'll go. And we tapped on the door, and we were looking for a member, I think, and they didn't live there anymore. And I thought, well, do you know anyone that could be taught? And we asked him, and he was receptive to being taught. So we taught him. And I think I moved, and then he got baptized. And I remember, I'm really annoyed, I think, with the elders at this time. They use him as a success story, I think, in his own conference. And then kind of a few months later, I remember the same, I think it might have been an assistant, was saying, oh, he's smoking, he's awful, he's just, he was just, and I'm like a month or two ago, you were praising him, saying, that great, he's just, he was, because someone asked him about this, and he's rubbish. And I was just like, you can't say that about people, they're
No.
people, they're not numbers, they're people. I think I'm not business inclined. I'm not a numbers person. I'm not. That's not me. And I think my mission taught me to be people orientated. That we're not talking about quickly baptizing people and rushing them through. It's about getting to know them, making sure they're ready. It's the long haul, isn't it? It's not a short kind of tick box.
So true.
I think that frustrated me quite a bit. But yeah.
Well, I think that was a little bit of a bleed over too from the Vrains. Not to say that was a bad way of doing it, but there was a lot of numbers that was the focus. At least in my experience, and I felt like there were some missionaries who were constantly pushing for numbers versus realizing that what we were doing was much more than that. So I can appreciate your perspective from that time frame, because it was hard for some people to get out of the numbers on your planner, focus on the name and the person and what's going on in their life and their stresses and all those different things that most of us, especially the boys in the mission as teenagers, because we are not as mature as the sisters, I'll say that for all of us, that we just didn't understand that, and it was something that we had to learn. Absolutely true.
No, and I do get that. And I think also, as a missionary, I think back, and it's hard because I think about when at the end of my mission or during my mission, and I still think about us as 19, 20, 21-year-olds. And we're not that now. We're kind of late 30s, early 40s now, and everyone is different. And everyone, like I said, I had the opportunity to repent in Edinburgh, and everyone's had that opportunity to change and to be different, and what they did and how they did things. might be very different to how they are now. And and I do appreciate that. And it's hard though, that mindset, isn't it? Of, oh, remember that, but that was in the past. And it's just that reminder, to sometimes just to let it go, just let some things go.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so far in our rear view mirror that it's almost like a small bump in the road. You just don't even give much thought about it. You're just carrying on. So
yeah, no, definitely. So after I'm serving with Sister Stoke and Sister Wellington, I was moved to Glasgow, which I'm going to say I was not excited about. So Sister McFarlane had opened it up, which was a shock, I think, to all of the sisters. But she was a fantastic missionary. She was the missionary in the mission, the sister that was training everyone. She's just brilliant. On fire, just lovely. So I was going to go with her. So I was excited about that bit. I wasn't doubting that. But I thought, well, if she can do it, we can just, it'd be nice to get to know her better. And I loved serving with Sister McFarlane. She was just great. But I hated Glasgow. I absolutely hated it. It was just awful.
Were you in the Julian Avenue ward?
We were in the Julian Avenue ward. Yes, we Partick. We lived in somewhere Partick, which is a nice part. I was told. But serving her was amazing. But just again, I have to think that this was, nearly 20 years ago, not quite 15 years ago, that the ward just was not receptive to missionaries. In my experience, I think it was 3 or 4 sets of us, and there were just some members that, well, why are we doing that? Or I don't know. It was very different to Edinburgh. Edinburgh was very warm, very missionary minded, and Julian Avenue was not that. So it was, which is fine. We kept ourselves to ourselves then. We did the work. We worked hard, and we did work hard. There just wasn't the same warmth that I'd had in the other units that I'd served in, and I think maybe that's what I found hard. And I was only there 6 weeks, so I've not got a lot to say about it because maybe I didn't give it a chance. But for the short time I was there, the ward at the time wasn't, it wasn't what I thought it could be. And that's not to say everyone. There were some lovely members there. Our ward mission leader was great. It just, ward as a whole kind of was different. But it gave me the opportunity to get to know Sister McFarlane. And I learned loads from her. She was very patient with me. Sometimes, a bit over the top, go a bit too far, but she was just so patient with me. And still really fun. She let me have my fun, but we worked incredibly hard. And I'm grateful for the things that she taught me. And we moved, we got whitewashed together into Irvine, which was great. I was happy with that. I got to keep my companion, and I got to leave Glasgow. Really, really excited. When did you serve?
I was January of 2005 to January of 2007. So I was almost majority, I guess the back half of my mission was the front half of yours.
Yeah. So you probably weren't there when so Irvine was kind of, we'd heard loads about Irvine in zone conferences, and it was just, there's lots to talk about Irvine, and the members there and the missionary work there, and it was really buzzing and really exciting. And so we were told that we were going there, and I was really excited actually, and really excited to stay with Sister McFarlane. Excited to hear and see for myself what all the fuss was about, and it was a great ward. I loved so we were in Kilwinning with the Kilwinning sisters. I loved it. It was such a nice ward. So I only had 4 areas on my mission, so that was my final area. But everyone was so nice. We rarely chapped. We rarely did street contacting because we didn't have time. We had a car, which was amazing. And we were just really, really busy. And we had support. There was always someone coming to teach with us. There were always people giving us names to teach to their friends. And it was something I'd never experienced my whole mission. It was a complete turnaround of everything that I'd experienced. And it was just, yeah, it was a really, really nice ward to be in, and an area to serve.
So you were there the latter part of your mission. About how long were you in the Kilwinning ward? Or the Irvine
Again,
ward?
so so Edinburgh, Irvine. I can't remember which one of them was like 6 months. One of them was 7.5, and I can't remember which one was which. It's probably 6 months. I'd say Irvine, but I can't remember.
Okay.
So a service is McFarlane right until the last moves, which was really, really nice. And yeah, we just like, can you imagine Scotland and not chapping? Like, our whole mission was chapping. Like it's just what you do, and we didn't have to do that. It was, and I remember once we had actually gone chapping, so we're like, well, we've got a bit of time. What should we do? Well, let's go chapping, because and we found someone, and the bishop was like, how did you find this person? Well, we chapped elders, which is like, but, only because we had time, but just, yeah, it's funny.
Oh my gosh.
It was one of those. It was one of those areas that I had some really good zone leaders there, and I had some zone leaders that, maybe talking about the ones that may have changed now, that just frustrating, that I did see as teenagers and just thought, oh my gosh, what are you doing? But yeah, it was lots of fun to be in Irvine. Hard work, lots of work, but also lots and lots of fun. I think I found a lot of joy serving in that ward because it was so different. I really saw the importance of members, because obviously the people we're baptizing, you're bringing them into their congregation. They are the ones that are going to continue to be with them. I think they really got the vision, and yeah, it was great. It was a different experience from the rest of my mission. It was a nice kind of end to my mission in that sense. It was lovely. We taught a lot of people, lots of families. We taught people who's kind of part member families, which was great. There was a lot of youth work. We worked with the young men, young women a lot. We went to ward council, which I'd never experienced, sort of thing that the zone leaders go to, or never the sisters. And we were invited. Like, it was weird, actually. I think, and I remember once we got called the missionary. We were in someone's home and they prayed for us, and we were with the elders, and they were like, "We're grateful for the elders and the missionaries." And they were talking about us, and I was like, "It's really nice to be called a missionary, not just the missionaries and the sisters." Like, it just kind of, maybe the equality. I'm not a feminist, but it, like, on a mission, when there's not many sisters, there was a lot of difference between the elders and then the sisters. Kind of the experience that the elders had and the experience that we had would be very different, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with that. I mean, us boys, we were just a different crew, and we're really, I felt like we were put on a pedestal more often than not, when you as sisters were ultimately the angels among us that kept us right in many capacities and continued to make us better. Because oftentimes you never were in any of those situations where we'd have elders only zone conference meetings and they'd tell us to stop screwing around and messing off. They would tell us to be more like the sisters, and we all kind of had to go, yeah, you're right. I mean, they walk around with the utmost ability of quiet dignity and doing the necessary things without the flash and pizzazz of being a teenager, which is what most of us boys were. So that's, I feel bad that you were not given your time until the end of your mission, which is unfortunate.
no, it's fine. And it was just that one instance where I just thought, oh, we actually got called missionaries then, and it kind of, I noticed it, and I thought, oh, that's just
Yeah.
really nice. And I think also, that kind of, we had our moments, but we had those moments kind of behind quiet doors. We had lots of fun at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And
Which is
so
probably
I
what
remember
we should
going
have been
when,
doing too.
yeah. No, I remember going to Irvine. The Isle of Arran was within the Irvine boundary, and we
Right.
went, and I think it was a zone activity or a district activity. I can't remember. And we were on the ferry and we were waiting, and it was just about to go, and two missionaries. I can't remember who it was, but it was one of the Americans. Wait for us! He's going, and he's like dressed in gaudy golf gear, and he's loud, and he's just like, "Wait, we're coming!" And like they're just about to, and I was just like, "He is not with us. Please take your badge off." Just it was awful. Stop.
Oh man.
But I can't remember who it was, but he was fun to have around because you want to have a joker. You need someone like that just to keep the buzz going. It was funny.
That
But
is
yeah, the difference I think between the Americans and the British were like, oh no, it was good. It was really good.
Yes. Apologies from
Um,
my end for all
no,
of
no,
us
don't
crazy
apologize.
Americans.
You don't need to. You don't need to at all. It's funny in hindsight. It's really funny. But just at the time, I was like, oh no.
It's really good.
Um, I remember, so in Urban, I remember also being told off, not by one of the members. I think me and Sister McFarlane had been teaching someone who really wasn't progressing, and so we decided, okay, we won't teach her anymore. But kind of the way we did it, we didn't really talk to the members about it who'd been working with her. Um, and I think she was really disappointed that we weren't still teaching her. And she was understanding, but she was disappointed that we just kind of dropped her and not done anything or told her about it. Um, and it was good because I think that helped me. That helps me now as kind of a non-missionary, how I can go about things, or I think as a missionary we do need to be told you're doing it wrong, or you could do things differently. That was a learning curve, a humbling experience, and rightfully so. So yeah, definitely learned something from that member.
Yeah.
There were some great members in that unit, who I love. Sometimes I see them when I go to the temple, Preston Temple, and I just anyone from Scotland that I see that I know is just, I don't know, that joy from serving a mission and knowing them and getting to know the people. I come from quite a reserved family. My parents are quite quiet. They don't like to share too much. And so serving in Scotland and getting to know the Scots was a different experience for me. They're very open, they're very honest, and they're very blunt. So it
Yes.
took me a little while, but actually I love that. I love that about the Scots. But they'll tell you how they're feeling. They don't really want sympathy, they're just telling you as it is.
Yeah.
And I love that. I absolutely love that honesty. It's really, really appreciate that now.
Absolutely true.
It's really, really good. Yeah.
I love it.
While I sang with Sister McFarlane, we had Sister Kemp for a little while. I can't remember, it was a week or two, a couple of weeks. So I remember we're having Zone conference coming up, and we're expecting Sister Kemp and Sister Georgie Eva up, and they were serving in Stranraer. And so we had a busy schedule. We were trying to arrange when they were going to come up, when we were going to pick them up. And I spoke to them on the phone, and I was like, and they're quite kind of dismissive, and I was like, and I said to Sister McFarlane, I just get the impression that something's wrong. I don't know what it is, but I get the impression that they either don't want to come, or we got a phone call kind of the next day saying from a member in their unit, you need to come pick them up. Please come and get them. So, and it was interesting kind of being in that spirit, kind of discernment, but not knowing exactly what it was. So we had to camp for a little while, which was fun, trying to fit 3 beds. Well, I think we had 2 beds and a sofa bed in our little room. Trying to, we should have just, I think now I'd be like, no, because one of us is going to go sleep in another room. Like,
Yeah.
just, yeah. But no, we did it, and we kind of swap bed hopping, like you've had a week there or you've had a few days and someone else has turned on the couch, that sort of thing. That was quite funny.
That's
So,
hilarious.
but yeah, it wasn't for long. It wasn't for long
Anything to
at
keep
all.
the rules, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now you just think, honestly, like, really, yeah.
That's hilarious.
And then my last 6 weeks, Sister McFarlane and I knew that obviously we only had 6 weeks left. One of us is probably going to go. Neither one of us wanted to leave Irvine because it was just a dream. President Frederick knew that obviously we were expecting a call. He left us to the very end of the call, so I think we were in bed. It's like 11 o'clock, and then he called us and went, "Here we go." And like President Frederick liked to have a joke. He was a bit of a joker, but he didn't do it very often. But yeah, he was just laughing on the phone, knowing that he'd kept us waiting. And I feel like I got to stay. And Sister McFarlane moved on. And I was sad to not serve with her anymore. But I was really, really relieved that I got to stay. Really selfishly. It was nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So my final companion was Sister Price. She was from Wales. And I think go back to the beginning of my mission when I wasn't a great greenie. I probably wasn't a great trainer. And I probably appreciated that the struggles that she was having, the struggles that I had, so I wasn't really that bothered. I was like, well, we all go through it. That's kind of what we're like as greenies. And I probably wasn't a great trainer. I probably wasn't as open with her as I could have been, or as warm as I could have been. I had 6 weeks left. I knew I was going home soon. But yeah, I think I tried hard, but I don't think I wasn't a great trainer for her. She probably needed more than she got, bless her. Yeah.
It's okay. Everybody has some trainers that work and some that don't. It's that's the thing that I don't quite understand, and I need to pose this to President Frederick sometime, but how they come up with who needs to be with who, like you got to be just throwing darts at the wall sometimes and being like, well, this is what I got. Take it and hope it works type of a thing,
Yeah. And I don't know if it's just that I don't know as a greenie you expect lots from your trainer. You expect kind of this amazing knowledge and this, whereas trainers are just sharing their own experiences, aren't they? They're just sharing what they know best and how they know best to do it.
Right.
But as a trainer, you don't feel like this person on a pedestal. You just feel like a normal missionary because that is what you are, just a missionary learning the ropes yourself and just going with the flow. But yeah, it was a learning curve. And yeah, it was a learning curve. I remember my last zone conference would have been summer, so it's before we went. It was the day that we'd go to see the tattoo in Edinburgh, and we were there, and I knew I was like, they're going to call on us to do the kind of they call on missionaries, didn't they, to kind of do a role play. And I was like, I knew they're gonna call on us, and I knew it. And I said to her, they're gonna call on us, but don't worry, it's all right. I was like, just go with the flow, you'll be fine. And they did call on us, but they ran out of time. I was like, like, we have to go. I'm like, get in, because I knew what I was gonna say, but I was like, yeah, glad that we didn't have to do it because I knew that she was petrified. So yeah, bless her. That is hard. That's a hard thing to do on your first zone conference. Bless her.
Yeah, that would be a bit of a challenge to be in that position for sure. So you finished up in Kilwinning and your parents came and picked you up. Did you tour around for a few weeks before you gone home?
Just for a little bit. So where did we go? They'd rented a kind of a place in Killen. So we stayed in Edinburgh for the weekend. Got to show them, meet some members, which was lovely. Meet some friends. Then we went somewhere quiet. So Killen, which is Loch Lomond in the Trossachs. It's
Okay.
kind of middle of nowhere. It's lovely, beautiful.
Yeah.
Stayed there for weeks, so just did a bit. It was more of a holiday for them, I think.
Okay.
And then for a week after, or a few days after, we went to Troon, which is between Ayr and Irvine.
Yeah.
So that was really lovely. I got to show them Irvine, and it was great because obviously just finished there, just being there. Had lots of members to introduce them to, lots of friends to introduce them to, and the ward was just as welcoming to them, as they had been to the missionaries. It was really, really good. It was lovely.
That's really cool. Well, one question we typically pose is, do you have any memories of President Sister Frederick, since you didn't have much time to get to know the Vreens?
So like I said that President Frederick's a bit of a joker. He came across quite serious. I think a lot of missionaries thought he was serious. So I remember being at the mission home in the gardens once. I think it was a nice day. So me and my companion were outside on the grass, and suddenly this water balloon came kind of shooting down at us and hit us. And like we looked up, and there was President Frederick just smiling and waving.
He threw a water balloon at you?
Yeah, it was great. And he was super, really, really super. Just a few things that he'd share and from his boy days, but he's just great, and love him, just absolutely adore him. I remember not long after I moved to Edinburgh and I got to know them, I think he had to send someone home, and I could tell that he didn't want to send them home. He just did not want to send them home, and it was a really hard thing for him. I could just, he was very quiet. He was just brooding. I don't know if brooding's the right word. It just wasn't. He was a bit different at that point, and it was interesting to see. I think we'd popped in, and it was the day the person was going home, and he was like, "Sisters, stay, please. Got loads of pizzas. Please stay." You could just tell that it was a hard day for him. It wasn't a positive of his mission, and I think that must be really, really heartbreaking. Especially at the beginning when you don't really know anyone, and you've got to make those hard decisions. Or sometimes even those decisions aren't always his, are they? Sometimes they come from further up.
Yeah.
So some fun stories there, and some sad ones. Sister Frederick's great. We were in her office once, and I can't remember what we were talking about, but she came on the subject Braveheart. She's like, I just think every missionary should see Braveheart before they come on their mission to Scotland. And one of the assistants was going past at the time and was like, no, and I just thought it was really, really funny. No, and I was like, oh, it's a great film.
It is a great film.
Yeah, sure, superb. And then I remember we were at the mission home one evening, to drop something off, and she was stressed, and we said, "Oh, can we help with something before we go?" She's like, so again, they hadn't been in long, but I think she was expected to feed. So the stake presidents were coming with their wives, they're having a meal together, and there was some traffic somewhere, so they were all going to be really late. And she'd just made dinner and salads, and she's just like, I just feel like President Frederick is called as the mission president, and I'm just I'm just his companion. I'm just the cook or the whatever, she's like, I don't know what my role is, which I guess I could appreciate from the beginning of my mission, not knowing, was I Sister Garnham, was I Emily, I think it took her a while to kind of know what her role was or what her role should be. She was stressed with that, and we helped her move a few things, and it was interesting to hear something negative, but in a she wasn't moaning, but it was nice to kind of see that she's human, that she was normal, that she had her own struggles as well as the missionaries. But I love the Fredericks. I went to America like 2009, and I went to see them, and I think they're great. Got to see President Frederick's work. He kind of showed me his boardroom with all of his sons sitting around, which was great. Just he was just I really liked him. I know not everyone had positive experiences with him, but I loved them. They always showed me love, understanding. I felt like I could talk to them, and open up to them. I don't know if you ever got to know the office couple who served with them, the Marshes. Um, they
Spoken
were
and
lovely too.
spent
They
some
were,
time, but not as well as
yeah,
I'm sure you did that served in Edinburgh.
yeah, no, really, really a great couple, and like we could go in there and have a laugh with them as well. And like I used to laugh. Elder Marsh would pick up the phone and be like, "Hello, Scotland, Edinburgh Mission," and I was just like, "You can't. It's not called that. Like, why?"
Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
It's but funny. Like, I do. I got on really well. We kind of have lunch with them sometimes, and we got on really well with the Marshes. Um, and there was another senior couple. I don't know if he was PR, or public affairs. I can't remember what he was. Um, what were they called? Oh, Shafts. I think it's the Shafts. I might have got the name completely wrong. He was an
Hmm,
older man. She was slightly younger.
okay.
Really lovely couples. They all got the Fredericks and the Marshes and the Shafts got on well and did lots together. Certainly the sisters did. But I remember going around to the Shafts, and Sister Shafts liked to kind of be well made up and have her hair just so. And I think she'd been poorly, and she's like, "I haven't done my hair, and I haven't got my makeup on," and she was just like mortified that we'd seen her like that. And I was just like, "Yeah, it was funny." Just really lovely people that older, but I really appreciated them and grateful for but small friendships, really small friendships. Yeah,
Yeah. I think some of those that serve as senior missionaries or senior couples, they have to have some personality because you can't go into a
yeah,
foreign
absolutely.
country like that and be rigid. You have to be,
Yeah, yeah,
you have to have that personality type that's willing to, one, like Elder Marsh, take criticism for saying Edinburgh, or whatever
he
he
didn't
was
change
saying on the
either. He never
phone.
changed it. He never changed it.
Never? Oh my gosh.
No, but I loved it. It's really,
Clearly, I didn't talk to him on the phone very much, but, I did have a few interactions with him because I was his zone leader the last 6 months
yeah,
of my mission, and so I was
right,
in the mission
yeah,
home a few times, but not a ton of phone calls to him, but nonetheless, they are wonderful people, but
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
that's such a
yeah,
cool
definitely.
memory, I love that. Well, Emily, this has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your memories, your experience in Scotland. The last question we typically pose, and you can be of help to us in some capacity, but is there anyone that you haven't heard from on the podcast that you'd like to call out in this instance and tell them that they should get on the podcast?
I would love to hear from more of the sisters. I'd love it. I'd love to hear from all of my companions. So I think we've heard from, let's have a look. The first half, you've heard from the first half and Sister McFarlane, but I'd love to hear from Sister Stoker, Sister Wellington. Love to hear from Sister Kemp. I'm doubtful that you'll hear from Sister Price, but I'd love to hear, her experience. Sister Lewis, I would love to hear from. I'd love to have served with Sister Kenny and Sister Lewis. We never got the opportunity, but I got to serve, when we visited or whatever. It was always lovely to have time with them. And I count them as friends, even though I didn't get to know them very well. They are just, they made an impact on me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so all the sisters, Sister Bautista, Sister Powell, it'd be lovely to hear from them. Again,
Yeah.
I'm doubtful that we'd hear from Elder McBride, but I would love to see how Marcus is doing. I just adore him. I adored him then, adore him now. I think he's just the loveliest. Although I said, we didn't necessarily see eye to eye to begin with, we got on really, really well. The rest of the mission. So yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. I have been in touch with a few of those people. Marcus is one of them because he was trained by Elder Pilkington, who's one of my mission best friends. I have been in
Yeah.
touch with Sister Lewis and Sister Kemp. but that was a while ago. There's been a time frame since I've been in touch with them, so I will try to get them on the podcast in the near future. They were ones that I spent time around and got to know. Sister Stoker and Sister Wellington. I think I was around Sister Stoker briefly when she was a new missionary, but I didn't get to know her very well. So if you have contact with her, with Sister Wellington, or Sister Price, by all means, just let them know that we'd love to have them on the podcast. And I second your vote. I would love to have more sisters come on the podcast and share their experiences. I know that we do have a few on the future schedule that were prior to our time frame in the mission, sisters that are coming on, which will be fun to hear their experiences. But yes, those from our era in the mission would be wonderful. So post those invitations. When this goes out and live, share it on your Facebook page if you feel so bold, and tag people that you know would love to hear from you. And I'm sure that may change some hearts. So, but Emily, again, thank you so much for making time for us this evening. And honestly, it's been wonderful to talk with you and hear your experiences. So thank you again. We want to express to you our love for you as our sister in Scotland. You are one of the few, but you definitely made an impact on the hearts of the people in Scotland, and we're grateful that you're one of our sisters. So we sure love you.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's it's been nice. Thank you for being patient with me and waiting for me to come on.
Of course. As we learn in the mission, patience is a very important virtue to have, and we are patient here. So just know that we're not going away, and we're excited that more opportunities to have these conversations will come up in the future. So I'll bid you a cheerio, and we'll talk more soon, Emily.
Take care.
All right.
Take care. Bye.